Today we're going to be showing you how to make the best beef jerky there possibly is, and it's extremely simple. Anyone can do it. Follow along, stick around. I'm going to show you in detail every ingredient that you need, step by step, and you're going to end up with the most delicious product at the end that's going to be the envy of everybody. Maybe, maybe not. I haven't found anyone yet that doesn't actually like it. It's not your traditional beef jerky. It is a biltong inspired beef jerky, but it's bloody delicious. First things first, obviously we're going to run through a few key ingredients. What we have here is 2 kilos of topside. I like to use topside because it's generally a little bit leaner, but the chunk the butchers give us has got a big hunk of fat right in the middle of it. I'm going to run through that, stick around. I'm going to show you what to do with the beef in just a minute. Second of all, one thing that's very important, rock salt. You don't want fine salt, you want rock salt. Number 3, malt vinegar. Malt vinegar. And just a little hint, the better quality vinegar you can buy, the better it's going to turn out. I find just a standard malt vinegar is fine. Some whole pepper that you can crack. You don't want already ground pepper. You want whole pepper that you can crack. And I didn't realise I was so low on pepper, so that may not be enough for the 2 kilos that I'm going to make. But the pepper is optional. You can put as much or as little as you like at the end. We have brown sugar. Very important that you use the brown variety. Don't be using the white variety, use brown. And the final ingredient, which is very important, I've got 2 packets of each here. You want whole coriander seed, and you also want ground coriander. Pretty important that you get both, because although they are the same thing, they do have different qualities. We're going to see what we're going to do with that later. First things first, we're going to start out with our beef, the most important ingredient. And it is a little bit time consuming, obviously. You can't make beef jerky in 2 minutes. We have our hunk of beef all ready to go. Now, my daughter wants me to make this. She went and bought everything. If I had have gone to the butcher myself, I would have been a little bit more particular in what I wanted. They've left a lot of this fat on the side here. Now when you're making beef jerky, if you're cooking it, baking it, whatever, you want a little bit of fat, and that's probably why they've left it on there, to give you a little bit of flavour. But when you're making beef jerky, or whatever we're making today, I don't know whether the purist would call it beef jerky, what you want to do is trim all that fat off, which I will do right now. I've got that bit of fat trimmed off, and honestly, that's about all I got off it, which is basically nothing, and a couple of little tiny bits. To be honest, when I first dropped it out of the bag, it did look like a lot more. Pretty good job, actually. Second most important thing when you're preparing your meat is you'll see on the underside, you'll see there's all this stringy type, fatty, sinewy type of stuff. You can leave that on there if you like your beef jerky with a bit of chew at the end. I tend to like to cut a lot of it off because this stuff here, if you've ever had beef jerky, homemade beef jerky, and at the end, when you're chewing your meat, and you end up with that little bit that's like chewing gum at the end, which some people like and I actually don't mind, but again, I'm making this for my daughter. It's a bit of a contract job. That's what it is. It's that sinewy, silver, skinny type stuff. I will leave a little bit on there. I'll cut most of it off. Now that we've got all our beef prepared, we've got a couple of more options. I'm going to give you a bit of a look. This is the side of the cut. So the grain of the meat, you can sort of see it there. Hopefully it shows up on camera. The grain of the beef runs that way. If you like your beef jerky really chewy, you know, you're gonna be chewing, give you a bit of chew, which a lot of people do like with beef jerky. It's not a steak where you want it melting in your mouth. If you like it really chewy, cut with the grain. So cut along the grain. If you like it a little bit less chewy, cut against the grain. And today, we're going to be going against the grain. Again, because I'm making it for my daughter. If I was making it 100% for myself, what I like to do is cut half against the grain and half with the grain. So that way you end up with a bit of mix in your bag. Like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get. First step in preparing the beef is what you want to do is you want to cut it into almost steaks that are about 10 millimeters thick. Now listen, if you're not confident on cutting up your meat into the steaks, you can get the butcher to do it. I don't recommend it because the fresher you can cut up the meat, the better. If you're going to get your butcher to do it, don't leave it in the fridge cut up for too long. Keep it as cold as possible without freezing, and make it as quick as possible. Preferably, if you're going to buy it off the butcher cut up, come home and make it straight away. Keeping in mind, you don't want to be starting this late in the afternoon because it is a timely process. It's not hard, there's only a few simple steps, but each process will take hours. Not that you'll be doing anything for hours, it's a lot of shut up, sit down and wait. So the next step, I better explain. I'm going to go as slow as possible and try not to miss anything. Once you've got it cut up into steaks, you want to lay it out on a flat tray without overlapping your meat. So you don't want it overlapped, and you want it laid out flat, just like so. Now comes in the first ingredient is your rock salt. And what you want to do with your rock salt is just tip it onto one side of your meat, like so. I'll give you a bit of a look of what I've done in just a second. About that thickness, pile it up just so your meat is covered completely. And this step is not to cure your meat. All this step is going to do is draw some of that moisture out of your meat. So basically, very simple. These four are definitely not all of it. It's probably not even half. I will do more trays. I'm just not going to show you every single steak that we're going to do. So basically, cover everything in rock salt, and then we'll be back. Now that you're happy, you've got only one side of your meat salted up And as you can see, it's just heaped up with rock salt. It's got a good covering. You don't have to completely blanket it. Just cover one side basically with a good layer. What you want to do is put that in the fridge for minimum of 1 hour, maximum of 2 hours. So that's what we're going to do, and we will see you in approximately 1 hour. We can move a step ahead. While we're waiting for that salted meat in the fridge, what we will do is make up our dry mix, or our dry rub, whatever you like to call it. First little step in this process is your whole coriander seed. And if you don't like green coriander in food, don't despair, because this is completely different flavour. I actually do not like green coriander mixed in food. It's not my cup of tea, but like I said, completely different flavour. What you want to do is take your whole coriander seed, put it in a food processor, whatever food processor you have available to you will do fine. This is the little machine that I've got, and all you want to do, you don't want to grind it to an absolute powder. You just want to give it a little bit of a hit. You want to leave some chunks in there. Give it a nice little chop up, and honestly, I think that's about as fine as I want to go. Now that is absolutely perfect. I don't know whether you're going to be able to see the consistency, but it's not full powder and it's not too chunky. So it's a bit hard to explain, but it is ground and that has released some beautiful flavour. Just a little note, that was 50 grams of coriander seed. Really easy. Ground coriander seed. Your coriander, it says ground coriander seed on this packet. So like I said, it's a little bit different. I'm going to give you a quick little gander just so you can see the difference. You can see the darker stuff on top is the one out of the packet, and the lighter one is the one we've freshly ground but not to a powder. The ground coriander seed in the packet that you will buy will be powder, and they have a distinctly different smell and flavour. Very important. Don't skip that one. And basically, if you want to leave it at that, that's really all you need. What I found to be better is as much or as little pepper as you like, and I will probably do all that, and I may even go and try and find some more from somewhere. I do have to apologise. I only just realised after doing that last scene that I didn't actually have the lights on. So it may have been a little bit dark, but you get the idea. Our dry mix is all done. Really simple, nothing to it. It's basically coriander and pepper. But, ooh, very distinct smell and flavour. We might as well move on to our wet mix. Basically just got a clean bowl, vinegar, tip your vinegar in, nothing to it, very simple. And I think for 2 kilos, try not to spill it everywhere, we might as well use the whole bottle. What do we got? 750 mils. It's not expensive. I think a couple of bucks for a bottle of vinegar. Second ingredient for our wet mix, brown sugar. And honestly, you can add as much or as little brown sugar as you like. I don't even bother measuring, if you want measurements, I'd be guessing probably for 750 ml, at least a half a cup. What I like to do is tip a bit in there, give it a whisk, and just give it a little taste. What your wet mix is going to taste like will basically affect the taste of your meat. So if you like it a little bit sweeter, go with a little more sugar. If you don't like it as sweet, a little less sugar, obviously. Again, it's another option that I'll leave up to you, but you do need to use both. It's been approximately 1 hour and 40 minutes. Like I said, absolute minimum 1 hour, preferably probably an hour and 40. You don't really want to leave it any more than a couple of hours, because like I said, we're not using the salt as a preservative. All the salt's role in this recipe is to draw the moisture out of the meat. So we'll move on to the next step. What you want to do, and you'll feel your steaks have sort of got a little bit drier and harder. What you want to do, and I find a high-sided baking dish is pretty good for this job, is remove all that salt. That's why we use rock salt. If you use fine salt, it'll get down in all the little grooves and you won't be able to remove it. Obviously, don't wash it off with water. Do not wash it off with water. Just scrape it off with a knife, give it a shake, remove every single bit of salt that you can see. And we're going to carry that step out. We're going to do all our steaks, removing all the salt. Once we're happy, we've removed all the salt, or as much as humanly possible, the next step begins, and there's options in this step as well. We're going to slice it up into what's going to be the finished product. Obviously, you're not going to make a whole steak into beef jerky. Like I said, there's options here. You can cut it as thinly or as thickly as you like. I'm just going to start off with a couple to give you a look at about the size that I like. That size there, we'll have a look. It's probably about the 10 millimeters thickness and not quite as thinly sliced, so probably 5 to 7 millimeters, and I would say probably anywhere from 100 to 150 millimeters long. And that's going to be the finished product. That is the ideal size. Again, what I like to do is mix it up, cut some that are shorter, some that are longer, some that are a little bit thicker, but you don't really want to be going any thicker than that, or it's going to take way too long to dry. So I'll go ahead and cut all this up, and we'll catch you on the next step. We are finally up to our second last step. Honestly, it's a really simple process. I've probably made it seem a bit more complicated than what it is because I've given you options and I've tried to be as detailed as possible. But once you've done it once, It's an absolute breeze. Probably one of the most simple recipes or methods for making this than what you'll find. What we have here is a dehydrator. I've given it all a good wash beforehand. It's been a while since it's been used, so I've gone through, washed all the trays, given them a nice bath to make sure they're all nice and clean. And I was thinking, while I was cleaning this dehydrator, this particular one here is well over 15 years old. I'll be nearly up for a new one, I guess, but it still does the job. I've found this one actually takes 2 kilos of meat just from previous runs nicely. It's probably a little bit overloaded at 2 kilos. Ideally it'd be 1.5, but these days I think I paid 50 or 60 bucks for this 15 years ago, and it's done a lot of jerky and other stuff. We're going to take all our meat and we're going to put it in the vinegar mix. We've got all our meat in the vinegar sugar mix, and that looks about bloody perfect to me. So what we go with, 750 mils of vinegar, and I end up putting probably 3/4 to a cup of brown sugar. I like mine a little bit sweet. That's the way I normally make it, so I'm going to go with it. And it's worked out almost perfectly. You can see it's having a nice little soak in there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep turning this around, stirring it, making sure all the meat gets nice and in contact with the brine mixture for probably 5 minutes. So we'll cut it here. See you in 5 minutes. It's been 5 minutes. The magic of television. We've got our meat. All you want to do is dip it in your dry mix, just like so, till it's nice and coated. Place it in your dehydrator. Really can't get any simpler than that. I will go ahead, do this little batch, and give you a look at what it looks like after I've done it. Finally got through all that, and as you can see, there's very little wastage. I actually used every single skerrick of that dry rub and worked out absolutely perfectly. I would suggest, if you are doing it at home, the dry rub mix that I made up, make twice as much, because it's cheap and you're better off to have a little bit too much than not enough. Like I said, that worked out absolutely perfect. The last little piece just took the last few skerricks out of the bowl. I used 50 grams of ground, 50 grams of whole. If you're going to do it at home, per 2 kilos of meat, just go 100 grams of each and as much pepper as you like. As you can see, we've got the dehydrator stacked up, and a little tip, don't overload it. I know this dehydrator can take 2 kilos. It's the absolute perfect amount. Any more and the pieces of meat would be too close together. You want them spaced out enough that there's just a little bit of space in between each piece of meat, because obviously you need the airflow. I've got a bit of a mess going here, I will apologise, but this is a real cooking show. In real cooking, you're going to have a bit of mess. What I like to do is have it set on about 60 degrees. Just depends on humidity, temperature. There's a whole lot of variables to how long it's going to take. I will keep you updated in the process, and I will let you know it's been raining here all night. It's the middle of winter, so we've got really high humidity and really cold temperatures outside. I don't know whether I looked a little bit hot and flustered and red through parts of this video, and that is because I've got the fireplace going inside and I've cranked it right up. So inside it's actually quite hot and quite dry, which will speed the process up a little bit. There you go. Not a whole lot to it. Stick around because I've got a few more tips in the drying process. But to start off with, switch your dehydrator off, give it half hour or so, then I'll come back and show you what to do in another half hour. Keeping in mind this process here generally takes up to anywhere at least 4 hours, anywhere up to 8-10 hours. So it's not a quick process. It's been approximately 1 hour. It's still got quite a long time to go. We haven't even really started to dry it out yet. One little tip I'm going to give you, especially with this type of cheaper dehydrator, every 20 minutes or so what I've been doing is spinning the layers, give them a spin around. That way the air circulation will be more even. And every half an hour, 45 minutes, what you want to do is lift it off, change the bottom one to the top one. And again, what that will do is keep changing it over, changing it up, spin it around, keep that air circulation going as evenly as possible. There are a lot better dehydrators on the market where you won't have to do that, but if you go on the El Cheapo style like I've got here, I've found it a lot better if you keep changing it up. Little pro tip for you. The time has come. The ultimate taste test. I already know they're good. I'm actually surprised my daughter hasn't been over today to check on them because they probably won't last long. It's currently exactly 6 p.m. I'm looking at the clock behind you, 6:00. I started these at 8 a.m. I didn't start the dehydrator at 8 a.m. I started the whole process at 8 a.m. 99% of them would be finished. They've turned out absolutely perfectly. That's a nice little crispy one. Now I'm going to warn you, they are very addictive. They've got a bit of an acquired taste to start with, but once you eat one of those, I guarantee, the best thing is be sitting around having a drink, give one to your mates. I guarantee you, when he finishes that, he's going to be looking around for more. And he's going to say, what the hell was that? That was one of the best things I've ever eaten. And they actually look rather, I don't know whether you'd say appetizing, but they are definitely different. And that is perfect. Got that nice little crunch to it. Yep. Perfect sweetness. Turned out exactly how it always does. If you want something to share around with your mates and get them really impressed, make some, share them around, you'll be the life of the party. Thanks for watching. Hope you give it a go. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Catch you on the next one.
It's yum.